What's the weirdest thing you have ever walked in on? Walked into a classroom and found out that a 13-year-old had my staff photo as his desktop picture. I work in a hotel, and a guest asked for a coffee maker to be brought up as we didn't have them in every room. I knocked on the door a couple of times, as we're supposed to do, and didn't hear a response, so I cracked the door open a bit to see a stark naked man with one of those leather-looking dog masks. I just froze for what felt like 8 minutes and closed the door. I just left the coffee maker outside the room. Writing that last part reminded me of this, so I guess my reply is a bit of a 2-for-1 special. I walked into the employee bathroom, which do lock, so if the handle turns I assume it's free and clear, once, and walked in on a co-worker completely naked, sitting on the toilet with all their clothes strewn about the bathroom floor. He and I haven't made eye contact in about a month and a half. I have 8 siblings, so I've seen far too many things I wish I'd never seen. The first one that comes to mind is the time I went into the kitchen and my little brother was on all fours, wearing nothing but a pink belt around his midsection and a pair of my mother's shoes, face down in the cat's food dish, eating its food. How'd he turn out? Oh, he's perfectly fine, meow. My mom walked in on my friend and I playing with each other's boobs. Not in a sexual way. We were laying on our sides and noticed our boobs got all squished. So we stuck a hand in between each other's and made them clap. Mom walked in, saw us, and said okay then. I tried to explain and she put her hand up and said, "I don't even want to know." Then she shut the door and walked out. 2 intoxicated homeless folks, male and female, fucking underneath a tree on the college campus I work security at. It probably could have been narrated by David Attenborough for how raw and wild it was. Probably my dad blow drying his pubes in the mirror. My mom absolutely lost it cracking up and I can never get the image out of my brain no matter how hard I try. When I was a kid we had a family reunion in Oklahoma for a few days. One night, I got tired of laying awake in my sleeping bag and went to find my cousins. They were crowded around a dead snake, as one of the older girls was mid-dissection. There was blood everywhere, considering they had just recently killed the snake and the muscles were still twitching. She told me she had done this a million times and was practicing for when she became a vet. I just went back inside. This was way back when my siblings and I still lived with our parents. I once walked in on my sister who had just gotten out of the shower. Everything was chill until the dildo she had just been using fell out of her vagina. She later told me she didn't have enough time to hide it. The only thing I could think to say was "I'm scarred for life," and I ran out. For all of you sickos in the comments, I'm female too. We shared a room. Yes, she was wearing a towel. Oh boy, do I have a good one. My mom and I had a huge joint party for our 15th and 50th birthdays with tons of our friends over at our apartment's clubhouse. I left the main scene to take some of my pals up to my room to show them my pet guinea pig, Squeakers. I opened the front door to my apartment with my friends in tow, and opened it without knocking because hey, it was my fucking house. To my surprise, when I walked in, the living room was full of buck-ass nude old ladies. Now, I knew that my mom had joked about getting her friends together to take calendar girls pictures for her 50th. I did not know that this was the appointed time and place for said photo shoot. But there they were. My mom and her best friends, some of whom were moms of friends, one of whom was my former teacher, in their birthday suits carrying around big fake flowers and feather boas and cupcakes and shit, taking pictures of each other. Not a bra nor panty in sight. I stood there dumbstruck for a second, when one of the ladies waved at us and called out, "Oh hi there girls. Come on in." I made a weird panicked noise, slammed the door, and sat on my welcome mat paralyzed with a hysterical uncontrollable laughing fit for like, 5 minutes. It's not that I have a problem with various people's naked moms in my living room, but it was a hell of a surprise. My friends thought it was hilarious for a while and then shut up about it. But all of those ladies apologized to me for that incident for years. Like, let it die gals. I don't need to be actively reminded of that moment every time we meet. Was at a friend's place with around 6 or 7 of our other friends for New Year's and had to take a shit. Walked into the bathroom to discover my one friend fingering our other friend's mom. Proceeded to call him a motherfucker for the next 2 months. One night me and my roommate watched Tenacious D in the Pick of Destiny and we specifically laughed at how funny the cock push-ups were. A few days later I walk into the dorm and his pants are down and he's flat on his belly with his arms reaching forward Superman style. He gets startled and nervously yells, "Oh hey, what's up?" and pulls up his pants. Pretty sure he was attempting cock push-ups. At a party with a bunch of friends. Door to the living room is closed. Open door. Half of my friends in attendance are engaged in a wild orgy. Closed door. Host of the party walks by, looking really annoyed. I think he's going to put a halt to the proceedings, but he just opens the door and tosses a box of condoms into the room, and closes the door again. Not me, but a story from my ex. When I was working at a grocery store, my ex worked in produce and we had a co-worker that was really nice but something just seemed off about him. Well, one night, my ex is walking back to their back room and this guy is just standing there, his back facing the wall and his pants were down around his ankles. My ex says, "Hey buddy. What are you doing?" And the guy completely freezes. Then puts a watermelon down to the side. My ex notes the watermelon has a hole in it. He was fucking a watermelon. Before the beginning of my second year of college, my roommate transferred to another university, and housing replaced him with some random transfer. He ended up being a total pain in the ass who would play on his Xbox in the room at 3 a.m. while I was trying to sleep, while even talking into his mic, set multiple alarms at 4 a.m. and not get up, etc. After a pretty intense argument at 5 a.m., I spent the week couch surfing. I had several midterms that week and needed my sleep, and began looking for somewhere else to live. Fortunately, there was an empty room in another dorm and I made the arrangements to change rooms. I spent the night in my new room, and walked over to my old dorm the next morning to move out before heading home for fall break. I was nervous about my old roommate causing a scene, especially since my mom was coming down to help me move and take me back home. Instead, I walked in on him standing over my bed, masturbating over my Arduino kit and differential equations notebook. My friend sucked another one of my friend's dick for a couple of freezies. Not even the big ones. I usually visit my grandfather on Sundays. His wife passed away in 2014. In 2016 he was diagnosed with cancer. He refused to move closer to the rest of the family so we could keep an eye on him. So once he started getting worse, we had a nurse visit him 3 times a week to check on him and take care of his medical needs related to his cancer treatment. So as I was saying, I usually visit him on Sundays. I went to his house as usual. It was like any other day. I spoke with him about an hour before I got there. I'll remember this day for the rest of my life. I arrived, walked into the living room and called for my grandpa. No answer. Checked the kitchen. Not there. Checked the backyard. Not there either. At this point I'm super worried. I go to his room. I open the door. I'm looking at my 84-year-old grandpa getting ridden by the nurse. That man is my fucking hero. I miss you, Grandpa. 1932 to 2017. When I was in secondary school, I walked into the boys' toilets where someone had just finished curling one out on the floor, with the cubicle door open. He reached into his pocket, pulled a small Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles figure, stood it in the poo, patted it on the head and walked out. Nobody believed me until I showed them the evidence. It was very odd indeed. My 2 co-workers having sex on my desk. I went to my office to pick up some paperwork late one night. When I opened the door to my office, my 2 co-workers were buck-ass naked in missionary position on my desk. My female co-worker locked eyes with me and screamed "Oh my god" and came like a motorboat. I guess getting caught in the act pushed her over the edge. When I went back to the office in the morning, they had cleaned my desk to within an inch of its existence, so I decided not to report them. A UFC fighter banging some random chick in my hotel room in Vegas. To this day no one knows how they ended up in my room. I walked in, the girl I was with wasn't sure what to make of the whole scene, introduced herself in what I can only imagine was an evolutionary instinct that short-circuited. I let them know there was some beer left in the mini fridge and we left the 2 alone to continue. After convincing the front desk that I wasn't pulling a YouTube prank, they got me a new room, called my old room apologized for the confusion and sent some bellboys to move my stuff. It didn't seem all that odd at the time. I got a free room, and an upgrade, free laundry and a replacement case of beer. My son trying to look at his butthole with a webcam. Concise yet illustrative.